Alright, this was a good fight. I enjoyed this. This was a good little scrap. And as Michael Buffer said when he was reading the scorecards, the real fight. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez wins a 12-round unanimous decision over CBS Chris Billam-Smith. Now, the only thing, it's a minor nitpick, is the scorecards. Too close for my liking. 8-4, and I think Mark Lyson had a 8-4, 1 even, or something like that. He had it 116, 113, so there was an even round there, so around even. Now, for me, I don't see how you can get the fight that close. I really don't. I can't find. Well, I don't understand the even round, or was it 115, 113? In which case, that's even worse because you couldn't even find. I couldn't find 2 rounds to give to CBS, much less 5 rounds. And the only 2 rounds I could find, I couldn't find 2. I couldn't find any more than 2. I should really say, was rounds 1 and 10. They were the only rounds I can look at and say I give those rounds to CBS. The rest of them were Zurdo, and pretty convincingly, to be honest with you, Zurdo Ramirez. I know Chris Mannix, his scorecards, I mean, the way he scores, I honestly would love to know, because there was rounds there he was given to Zurdo, like round 10. No, for me, that's a CBS rounds. Then there was another, I think it was round 4, where like CBS literally was just getting hit. And he's like, well, I like the work from CBS better in that round. You're like, mate, what? Minor nitpick. Other than that, this fight was very, very good. I enjoyed it. First round, CBS won that first round. There's no ifs or buts. I think Zurdo was a little bit shell-shocked because CBS came out and he appeared to stun him. Stun him a couple of times, and I actually was surprised. I was looking at that first round thinking, oh crap, could we be on for... It wouldn't be necessarily a shock if he'd have won, but like an early win, Zurdo getting dropped and taken out, because he was definitely stunned in that first round. Well, he was able to make adjustments very quick after that. Zurdo is not a defensive wizard by no stretch of the imagination, but he gives very good angles, and the commentators were saying that, at 200 pounds cruiserweight, this seems to be the best version of him. And I agree, I like what I seen in there from Zurdo. For the guy who was a world champion at 168 pounds a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, I think it was, he looked every bit, I wouldn't say he was as big as CBS, but he looked just about the same size. CBS is a bit more lean. Zurdo has a little bit more flesh on him. Nothing crazy. But how this guy was ever fighting super middleweight, I will never know. I remember him in those top rank days when they used to take some mornings after the weigh-in, they'd take the weights just to see what they were weighing, and he was well into the 180s when he was weighing at 168. So God knows how he ever made 168. It's crazy, really, to think he ever did. And at 200 pounds cruiserweight, he looks a lot better. The movement is very good. He looks a lot more fluid in there. Shot selection was brilliant. He looked a level above CBS. He really, truly did. And from round 2, he was landing the left hand almost at will. He was going to CBS's body. CBS got cut from an accidental clash of heads in round 4. And it was a bad cut. It was bleeding profusely throughout the course of the fight. And there was one round in particular, I think it was round 6 going into round 7, where the ringside doctor was having words with the referee. And I remember looking at that doctor just thinking, you cannot stop this fight over a cut like that. Yeah, we'll go to the scorecards, but it's not the worst cut I've ever seen. And Amanda Serrano last night had a way worse cut, and they let that fight go on. So he let it, and to be fair, even though the cut persisted and it kept bleeding, he never showed his face that I could see. He didn't call the referee over. I think he kind of knew, or just let the fight go. Don't worry about it. But CBS during the mid rounds, he really appeared to struggle. He appeared to struggle with the movement of Zurdo Ramirez because he's a lot more fluid as Zurdo. The movement, the footwork, the angles he was giving CBS, that just offset him. And it's not even just that Zurdo was giving him angles. It's that he was throwing punch after punch after punch. So it's very difficult when you have a fighter in there like Zurdo who can move a little bit, who gives you good angles, but is also working with a high volume. He's counter punching you. He's catching you with big left hands that you don't see coming. He's moving, taking a step out, taking a step in, boom, landing the left hand. And you're struggling to see these shots coming. You're kind of resorting to the high guard, try and match fire with fire, but it's just not working because you're in there with a guy who's, in my opinion, more talented and every bit as strong. Zurdo has tremendous physical strength, he really does. So mid rounds were really torrid for CBS, and I think it was the commenters were saying that Bernard Hopkins was saying next round after round number 7 will be the round in which this fight would end. It didn't, and CBS actually kind of from around about round 8 onwards. As I said, he only really won round number 10 in my opinion. That's the only round you could conceivably give him throughout the course of those. He did appear to get a second wind is probably the best way I could explain it, but get a second wind. He was able to do a bit of work on Zurdo, nothing amazing or anything like that, but in round number 10 he did appear to stun Zurdo with a body shot, and it was noticeable. Zurdo stopped in his tracks. You could kind of see a little grimace on his face. I'm surprised CBS didn't follow up with that, because normally when you see a fighter who's visibly been hurt, especially with a body shot, your first reaction is go straight back to work. Or if if that opportunity misses you, at least you can say, well, I know I can hurt him to the body, so I'm going to try and set my shots up with the idea of finishing up an attack to the body and try and, get something going. Didn't really do that, but again, there was a lot of good adjustments from Zurdo in there. He really did seem to be, it just seemed to me, like apart from the first round, he was 2 or 3 steps ahead of CBS throughout the course of this whole fight. And in round number 12, I was thinking, geez, I was surprised they got that far, to be honest with you, because I was thinking after the mid rounds, CBS, he's going down. He was hurt a couple of times, but there was never a moment where I was like, he's going down. Never really. But round number 12, and I thought, Zurdo's going to coast this round. He didn't. He was opening up on CBS every single chance he got up until the final bell. I have to tip my hat off to both guys. They really did put on a great show. I was so happy to watch this. Free for the fans. It's a bit sad in a way because the arena looked quite small, and it was, I'm being generous and just say it's half full. It didn't appear that. And that was a bit sad because I thought that this card, apart from the co-main event, was pretty good. It had some good shows on it, had some good fights on it. And, that was a bit sad. Just seeing that it wasn't much of an atmosphere. It was a small little arena. I just remember thinking, for a fight as good as this, it deserves a little bit of a boost, a little something, because it was a very, very good fight. It was very good. It was a decent card as well. I enjoyed it. Zurdo moves on to bigger and better things. He's now WBA and WBO Cruiserweight World Champion. The talk now is The talk now is Zurdo versus Jay Opetaia. Now, as much as I like Zurdo and I've always been a fan of his, I remember when he fought Maxim Vlasov back in the day. I thought he didn't look amazing in that fight, but there was only 23. I think he was 23 at the time. I thought there's improvements there. You can certainly work with him. And then I remember when he fought Arthur Abraham on the Manny Pacquiao Tim Bradley undercard. That was the third fight, and he looked brilliant in that fight. Only he did everything in that fight apart from stop Arthur Abraham, and he came close in round number 2, if I think it was. He nearly had Arthur Abraham out on his feet in that round. I've always been impressed with what I've seen from Zurdo. He disappointed me a bit in the Bivol fight. He just seemed to lack urgency, but maybe the weight was an issue because he's absolutely massive at 175 pounds too. So maybe that played a part in it, I don't know. But I think he's a very, very talented fighter. Him against Jay Opetaia, yeah, he'll probably go the distance, but I don't see anyone at cruiserweight. I don't think there's anyone I would pick over Jay Opetaia. Doesn't mean they can't beat him, but there's no one at cruiserweight I would pick to beat Jay Opetaia. Just because I don't pick some of them to beat Opetaia doesn't mean that they can't. But if they made that fight next, I'd make Jay Opetaia favourite. Personally, for me, I'd make him favourite. Let me know your thoughts. What is next for Zurdo Ramirez? What would you recommend for CBS? The commentators think it was Darren Barker was saying maybe struggling at the weight. I don't see CBS really having a run at heavyweight, to be honest with you. I don't think he'll do much. Maybe Bridgerweight. I hate that division, but maybe he'd look to do something at Bridgerweight. But if he went to heavyweight, how well do I think he'd do? Not well, to be honest with you. I just don't think that he has the attributes. Some cruiserweights have it, like Alexander Usyk. You can just tell there'll be trouble at heavyweight. Others don't. And, I don't know. Would he maybe look to fight that Noel Glover guy for the WBC title? Possibly. So there might be still something there for CBS, but I'm glad. I hope he got well paid. That's what I will say. I hope he got well paid. He deserves it. Credit to him. Credit to both guys. Great fight. Let me know your thoughts. I'll leave it there. Smash the like button on the way in or on the way out if you haven't already. Until next time, people. Peace.